Hey guys, Farrell back again. For such an early time of the year, we're actually quite stacked, full of quality releases coming out in the month of February. Today I put a list of 15 games in February coming out that are worth checking out, keep it on your radar, or absolutely must-haves.
The astral realm is Lilith's home. One way back is to restore the forbidden primal.
First one out today is GrandBlue Fantasy Relink. This one's already getting some stellar reviews out today, and I can see why. Just a beautiful looking RPG and a set in a big world full of charming characters and lots of things to do. Also, it's got a hint of Monster Hunter to it, where you can co-op with other people and hunt down these huge bosses and monsters and take on quests together. I mean, look at how big some of these bosses are in the trailer. I mean, wow. Like, these look really exciting to play. You can grab this one on PS4, PS5, and PC.
Good morning.
Let's begin!
Coming out tomorrow is a game that I put on my top list for this year, Persona 3 Reload. For those who don't know really anything about this series, I'll give you a quick rundown for this one. In this JRPG, you play as a high school student where you get to live the normal high school life. You play this simulation of being at school. However, things take a turn where evil starts arriving. You end up forming a group with other students to try to take down the evil, but you soon learn that each of your characters has the ability to summon a persona. A persona is like a manifestation of your inner spirit. Think of it as like a summon. There's more to this game, but I'd be here talking forever about it. All I'll say is it's very addicting and hard to put down once you play. Also coming out on the same day is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This one is already getting some pretty bad reviews, which is a shame because it's made by Rocksteady, who made those awesome Batman games. Just going on what I'm hearing, looks like the quality's just not quite up to par, and the gameplay is just kind of boring and repetitive. To me, I think it's still worth giving it a shot and see what you think for yourself. As for the plot, you play as members of the Suicide Squad trying to hunt down members of the Justice League who are being brainwashed by a supervillain. You can play as one of the members of the Suicide Squad, go around an open world metropolis and hunt each member down. I'm still interested in this, but I might put it on the back burner while I check out some others on the list. This one I've talked about a few times already, so I'll give it a quick mention. HellDivers 2 comes out February 8th for PS5 and PC. It's a squad-based shooter which you can play both solo and co-op, where you gotta win the intergalactic struggle and rid the galaxy of all the alien races invading. There's a lot of customized options here for your squads with your outfits, your weapons, including your ship, which can also help you in combat. This one looks like a fun one to play with some friends, definitely a multiplayer kind of game, so if you're into that, definitely check this one out.
That's going to take the combined effort of HellDivers across the galaxy.
The Inquisitor sounds like a really interesting game. It takes place in an alternative timeline where Jesus actually survives being nailed to the cross, broke free, and has now gone on a big rampage and seeked vengeance on all the non-believers. 1500 years later, and he's amassed an army of Inquisitors to spread terror and chaos on everyone that goes against him. You play as one in a town where you get to solve crimes, collect evidence, do interrogations, while fighting people and sword-wielding combat. As you delve deeper into the plot, you find that not everything as it seems. This medieval dark fantasy game has a unique story and just doing something different. And even though I might not have the AAA polish, I think it looks like a pretty cool game.
I vowed to protect the living from the dead, help those who didn't find peace in the afterlife.
Coming out on February 13th, we have Banishers, Ghost of New Eden. This one's going to be a story-driven action role-playing game made by developer Dontnod. Dontnod, if you remember, have made some games such as The Life is Strange 1 and 2, Vampire, and Remember Me. Each of those games are really heavy on story and character development, so this one will be no different. Here you play as two characters that are both ghost hunters trying to rid of a haunted community. Together, you work with different abilities to solve puzzles and fight hostile enemies. Also, there's going to be numerous choices that influence the game's story. This one's going to be available for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
How do I do this alone?
Coming out on February 14th, we have the Tomb Raider 1-3 Remaster. I already mentioned this in my top 10 video for 2024, but this one's all about nostalgia. Also, for those who never played the original Tomb Raiders, here's your chance to play them. Not a full remake, but just a touch-up, which they've budgeted the price accordingly. You can grab this for about $27 US or about 35 Canadian. Not too bad for getting the 3 original Tomb Raiders with the expansions with a good little touch-up. This one's available on all consoles and PC, so no one will miss out. Next up, coming out on February 16th, we're getting the long-awaited Skull and Bones. This one's been a long time coming. Fun fact with this one, this was supposed to be an expansion to Assassin's Creed 4, which came out over 10 years ago. And then it was decided to be its own game. After countless delays, we're finally seeing it on the horizon. Here you're going to get the perfect pirate game, where you can upgrade your ships, get your crew members, and navigate the sea. And of course, search for treasure. Also, this would be a multiplayer live service game, so you will need to be online to play this one.
Donkey Kong. Mario. Here we go. The rivalry that heated up on the Game Boy Advance system reignites on the Nintendo Switch system.
Also coming out on February 16th, the Nintendo's finally getting some love with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. This one's actually a remake of the 2004 platform puzzle game on Game Boy Advance. Pretty simple title, this one. It's just a puzzle platformer where you gotta find a key to get to the end of the level. Mario's objective is to rescue all of these mini Mario toys which Donkey Kong stole. But all in all, it's just a simple puzzle game, so if you're into a Mario puzzle game, here's one's for you.
That monkey's tail.
The Thaumaturge sounds like a really cool game. Story-driven, turn-based RPG, set in earlier 20th century Warsaw. This is one of those shape your story kind of games where you can make a lot of choices and deal with the consequences later. With your character being the Thaumaturge, he can approach situations in different ways using his special powers. You also have the ability to use psychic powers to use the enemies in the game to your will. This one looks like a really interesting game as well, and it's got something unique going for it. You can get this one on February 20th for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
You always do your own damned.
The Feywilds await, and so too Nightingale.
Created by former BioWare developers, Nightingale is an open-world survival game, which you can play both solo and with co-op. And it's not just in the typical setting either. You'll be playing in these weird mystical realms and dimensional portals, trying to find your way to survive. You can survive by crafting, exploring, and building, and trying to find your way to the magical city of Nightingale. You'll have to scavenge up, build what you can, and fight otherworldly creatures along the way. If you enjoy survival games, this one's definitely up your alley. It is still in early access though, but you can give it a shot on February the 22nd. Coming out on February 22nd, we have King Arthur, Knight's Tale. This is a tactical role-playing game set in the King Arthur timeline, except with a twist. King Arthur has been resurrected by evil forces, and it's up to you, Mordred, to stop him. You must gather your party and face the foes along the way to get to him. This one was released on PC a few years ago, so it's finally getting a console port. This is a good game to get into if you finished Baldur's Gate 3 and you're still feeling that tactical role-playing love. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons remake is coming on February 28th. This one is such a beautiful game, and it got so much high praise when the original came out. This is a very deep, story-driven adventure game, where two young sons are going on an adventure to find a cure for their father who is suffering from a deadly illness. Here we'll be going on a long journey to solve puzzles and avoid monsters along the way. This is a really deep, emotional story, so I expect to have a bit of a tearjerker for this one. But the storytelling is absolutely top tier. If you never played the original, you absolutely must try this game out. Also coming out on February 28th, we have a remaster of a really old game, with the original Star Wars Dark Forces getting a touch-up makeover as well. I remember this game way back in the 90s. This was one of the first FPS games I played on my PC, and one of the first Star Wars games as well, and man, this game was so much fun back then. It played similar to a lot of other FPS games there, such as Doom and Quake, but this had the Star Wars theme to it. Seems like a lot of companies are deciding to bring back old classics, which for me I couldn't be more happy about. Last game on the list, coming out on the 29th of February, is arguably one of the biggest games of the year and my personal number one, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game looks absolutely massive, and like what I said about it last time, everything just looks absolutely top tier quality here. I am curious to see how big this world's gonna be now that we're outside Midgar. Looking at some of the gameplay, the world map looks absolutely massive. Also, we're all curious to see where they go with the story. We only have to wait till the end of the month. And there you have it. There's the top 15 games for February 2024. Is there anything on the list that you're interested in? Why don't you comment below? That'll do it for me this time. If you liked the video, hey, why don't you leave a like, why don't ya? And if you want to follow my future videos, make sure to subscribe. See you around and catch you next time.